All right, here we go. Let's get the YouTube going. Hi, YouTube.
What up? Happy anniversary.
All righty. Happy anniversary, YouTube. Oh, yeah, this will come out on the YouTube anniversary too, right?
Mm-hmm. Should anyways.
All right. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Business Bros. What up, ladies and gentlemen? We want to welcome you, first of all, Hernan Cias, host of the Business Bros podcast, along with my co-host,
the insurance bro, James Cias with Pipeline Insurance.
And we're like super pumped today because although the day we're recording, today's what, the 8th?
Today's the 8th.
Today's the 8th. But when this episode posts on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you subscribe to the podcast, it'll be our anniversary episode. And technically our anniversary is on July 13th. So you're going to see this post on July 12th. So, happy anniversary to us. 1 year of doing the podcast.
A whole entire 365 days.
Yep. Amazing.
Crazy.
Dude,
wild.
Did you even think we would make a whole year?
I got to be honest. I wasn't 100% convinced. Obviously on my own accord, right? I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do this every day the way that we have. I wasn't sure that we together were going to hold up on it, but dude, you've been a freaking powerhouse. You have held us accountable. You have, you've done everything possible to keep this show rolling.
Hey dude, it takes two to tango, man. Cause let's be honest, like I sit here and I talk to people, but you're running this show. Like, you're the engineer behind the show. You're the one with the cameras, making sure that our audio works, talking to people on Facebook.
Like Matt, Joe Carrillo, Nate Julio, and Zabi.
What up, guys?
What up, everybody? Thanks for joining us.
So, hey, speaking of anniversaries, like, Zabi was one of those people who helped us implement some of the things that we're doing today. Like, we first opened up the doors to the interview thought after Liam said we should get influencers on the show, right?
Smart kid.
And so we went out and started talking to people. Jose Valenzuela, it was Jose Valenzuela, yeah. Valencia.
Valencia.
My gosh, I don't use his last name. I always just call him Jose. But anyways, so Jose I invited Jose to come on the show. He said, cool, I'm down. He came in, we had a nice conversation. And then I said, hey dude, I'm trying to grow this thing and talk to more people. If you know of any type of events going on, let me know. And sure enough, he hit us up for Big Block's opening in Eastlake.
Yep, I remember that.
And that's where we made our very first connections. And one of them was with this guy who had this guy that was walking around with a video camera guy.
And you were like, whoa.
I was like, okay, who's this?
Who is this guy? Wait. Who's this Gary V guy over here?
Yeah, who's this guy thinking he's like Gary V, right? And so made the introduction to Zabi. Zabi told us a little bit about his story. I was like, hey, man, I got this podcast. Would you be interested? And he was like, hell yeah. Little did I know the guy behind the camera was also somebody we'd be working with very closely here in the future too.
Yep.
So Jose from Visionary Media was there. He was the camera guy, right? He was the D-Rock walking around following Zabi. The D-Rock. And ever since then, we sat down with Zabi, and Zabi basically reinforced what we had already been talking about doing. He just said, you know what, if you're going to do it, don't BS your way through it. Just go out there and do it every single day. Go out there and be productive. Go out there and talk to new people. Go out there and put a show every day and try to make each one better and better and better. And dude, did we do that?
I believe so. I honestly do believe so. First of all, when this whole thing originally kicked off a year ago, I wasn't motivated, right? I was like, all right, I'm going to do this because you say so. I'm going to follow you. I let you down once before. I ain't going to do this again. Oh, thanks, Dan. Dan Fulkerson said congrats to our 1 year.
Thanks, Dan.
Oh, yeah, the shirt behind him. So, yeah, I wasn't motivated. I was like, whatever, I'm going to do it because I already let you down. I ain't going to do it again. I'm just going to be here for you. But the way that this podcast has really changed me, changed my life, changed the way that I approach business, changed the way that I approach relationships, just changed everything about the way that I want to be seen and I don't know, the
message that you want to...
The message that I want to portray, yeah. Like who I want people to to know that I am. It completely changed, and really started to learn about other people and how other people are really coming to business from this place of service. Like, a lot of people say it, right? A lot of people say it, but there have been so many people on the show that don't just say it, they show it in every single thing that they do, whether it's for their employees or their business partners or their customers. Their customers, most importantly. They're always out there doing the best that they can and trying to be of the most service that they possibly can.
Dude, we try to bring value every single day, right? I mean, that's kind of the purpose of the show. If there's one thing that you guys don't know, is that behind the scenes, James and I are always talking about, how are we going to monetize this? How are we going to monetize this? How are we going to monetize this? Because we make $0 off the podcast itself. And so we've talked a number of times about different ways to monetize the podcast. And we always end up drawing to the same conclusion, mainly because I'm a stickler and I don't want to do anything. I don't want to sit here and sell you something on the show, right? Mm-hmm. I do not want to do that. I want to make sure that this is something that's free, that there's no pitch to it, that you want to come and listen to the show because something interesting is happening, or you're learning something on the show. And I wanted to keep it that way as much as I possibly can. So we're finding different ways to monetize outside of the podcast, through the relationships that we've built, through learning what other people are doing successfully, changing the way we, as something as simple as what we do when we wake up in the morning, right? Learning from all the people who have come on the show and taking in that knowledge, dude. That honestly, this last year has been like a whole new college education to me. Like it's to me, it's been better than college because we've sat with people who are doing it. Not people who are, we've had some people who are new to the game, and we get to share valuable information that we've learned to help them get to another level. But we've sat with people who are monsters in the game, in whatever field they're in any industry that they're in. We've sat down with people who are super successful, and we've got to learn from the things that they do, what things that they take away, what things are they doing on a daily basis, how are they implementing certain strategies, what do they think about social media, all these people doing very similar things in their own creative different ways, right? And to me, that was a super game changer. We got to meet some of our own, we became like podcast groupies after we started doing this for a while, right? And we got, Melina Palmer is one of them.
Yep.
She just had her anniversary episode. She's been doing it for a year. She started maybe like a week or so right before we did. And she she posts once a week, and her content is, she's incredible at what she does with behavioral economics. And it one of the things that I've learned in doing this whole thing is to engage with people, right? And so she has her show, and rather than just sit back and consume her content, which I do, right? I also reached out to engage with her, and that paid off immensely. We have a great relationship. Like, I know if I ever needed anything, I'd just shoot her, a DM or whatever, and she would reply back. Because of the connection we've built, and because of the communication we've had, we built a friendship.
Yeah,
and that's super awesome to have. That's something, hashtag powerful relationships is one of the things that we've grown through this show, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's one of the cool things that we've done. Almost everybody who's been on the show, I can honestly say I can reach out a DM and ask them for a favor, and they would say yes. Yeah. Right. And vice versa. If they reached out to us and asked us for a favor, we would say yes.
For sure.
And help them out as best we could. And to me, that aspect of it, whenever you see successful people anywhere, they always have the hookup somewhere. Right. Oh, if I need help with this, you know what? I know a guy. Let me get you his number. Blah, blah, blah. Here you go. Right. And
that's funny, because that's what you always wanted from our website anyway, or from our services. See us first.
Yeah, see us first. That's what that's where it's going to end up going. I sit down and journal now. I didn't do that before.
Right. Where'd you pick that up from?
I picked that up from I want to say Annie O'Donnell sent over that book, The Miracle Morning.
Yeah.
And so I read Miracle Morning, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not doing all these things, and maybe at one point I will, but I picked up the things that fit me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. And I started to implement those things. And it's just made all the difference in the world. Just to write down the things that you're thinking. Like, For example, today we had our Monday call with our staff, right?
Right.
And so we're sitting on the Monday call, and I get the text message from you. You're like, dude, I know I had this idea and I didn't write it down, right? But that thought, that little, mess up is because you didn't write it down. You're now in the habit of, I don't have to remember everything. I could just look back at my notes or what I was thinking, and I can be like, okay, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
This is what I was thinking. This is how I'm going to, create a plan around it. This is how I'm going to implement whatever it is. But that idea becomes something real when you put it down on paper.
It's a seed.
It's a seed, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise it's fleeting. It's a great idea. It's like lightning striking your head, right? It's an epiphany.
It's an apostrophe.
It's an apostrophe. Lightning has struck my brain, right? But that's what happens. It's fleeting. It just shocks you, like, that's a great idea, and then as quick as it comes, it's gone.
Yep.
Unless you write it down.
If you don't take care of it.
If you don't take care of it, right? Nurture it, turn it into something. And so, like, that habit I've probably known about for a long time. But it's not until I made a connection with Annie, for example, and then she reinforced it by sending the book and like, I think you really like this. And then I reinforced that by saying, okay, I'm going to read the book because you sent it to me. Thank you very much. Right. And then I'll start to implement. And that, to me, that's one of the greatest things about building those types of relationships, those types of friendships. We've gotten close to a number of different people that we work with today. Jose from Visionary Media, for example, right? I mean, so there's times where Jose and I will sit down, like we'll meet to go do a podcast, or we're going to go videotape something or whatever. And then we'll sit down and we'll end up talking for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's business related, but sometimes it's just like, how are you pushing through your mental state when you feel like this? Right. Or we have kids, right. And we have, a spouse, and we're like, how are you separating the two, or where do you find the time to do this? Or, how are you balancing this? Whatever it is, we're talking about these things, and the same can be said with, with Dean Aguilar. We're sitting down, we're talking about creating a mastermind powerhouse team for social media content. And these things are building.
Are you allowed to talk about that yet?
We're almost there. We're gonna get a launch day here pretty soon.
But I mean, just kind of going back to that, like, this is amazing to even think about that we have come this far in a year, to have had the opportunity to make these relationships, to get to a point where we are getting ready to even discuss launching a powerhouse mastermind group. Whatever it is, like,
and that's kind of my point, right? Like, people in business or in anything have an idea that they think will work. Then they sit down and maybe they do write it down, right? And then they think about it and they think about it and they think about it, but never actually take the action to do anything. And I think that, to me, our podcast, if you followed along from the very beginning, our podcast is exactly the step that we took of taking action. Right? It's the fact that we started to do something knowing damn well we had no idea what to do or how to do it.
And then the mindset followed?
And And I mean, honestly, right?
Right. No, I mean,
I set you
right.
down to do it.
You did.
And then the mindset followed. So, yeah. I mean, think about this. I listened to Tim and Julie Harris's real estate coaching podcast, right? Which is a great podcast also, by the way. We already shouted out the Brainy Biz podcast. So I'll shout out Tim and Julie Harris's podcast. That's another great one.
And another fellow podcaster who did join you on the show.
Yes.
Or join us on the show.
And Tim came on the show too, which, shout out to Tim Harris. Thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. But we modeled our podcast, I did anyways, around Tim and Julie Harris's podcast. Because literally, when I sat down with Tim, he's one of my mentors, one of my master coaches, right? He literally was one of the people who said, you guys should be starting a podcast. I would listen to Gary Vee. Gary Vee's like, you guys should be starting a podcast. I talked to Tim Harris. Tim Harris is like, you should start a podcast. And I didn't know what the hell to talk about. He's like, dude, you know our content. You are in real estate. You have the knowledge on this subject area. Just mimic what we do. So that's how we started, right?
That's exactly how we started.
There were some episodes where
we literally took their material and just talked about it in our own way.
In our own perspective, right? Yeah. And so we would literally, if you look at it, some of our show notes, they are in parentheses in the title. It says HCCA. It's Harris Certified Coaching. Right? So that is exactly where we would pull some of the material, but we'd have a conversation about it in our perspective. But we did it. Right. And we would get up every day. And at the very beginning, we spent time, dude. We would spend hours sitting down thinking, okay, what are we going to talk about? And we would outline all the content that we would be talking about in the show.
Oh God,
and then we would
remember that.
Follow the outline. Right?
Yeah.
And at first that was great.
I imagine those were some of the most boring freaking episodes. Like
they were, dude. You know what? I can't say that.
Somebody go back and listen to episodes 1 through 70 for me and let us know how bad they were.
You know what? Well, I'm not even going to say that. Maybe
episodes like 6.
I'm not even going to say that because the truth is, there's some great valuable content that's well thought out. So there is information in the first 70 episodes that's super good. Right? That has practical and tactical merit that you can go out and implement today.
That's true.
To turn around. Like if you're in real estate, there's some great content in the first 70 episodes where we're talking specific strategies, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking 7-step listing process. We're talking about accountability boards. We're talking about all kinds of different things that you can implement into your practice to take your practice from being a small time, closing 4 or 5 deals a year to closing, 100 deals a year. Mm-hmm. If you implement the processes, the systems that are in place.
Put in the work,
right? But it's there. The content is there for you to understand. So I'm not saying those were bad as far as content. I'm just saying we didn't have the personality behind, the energy behind it like we do today.
That's true.
I think personally.
No, I 100% agree. 100%
and it was very much about us telling you versus where we are today, which is we're here to hear what other people are doing.
Yeah.
We turn the platform around from the camera looking at us directly. I mean, it still looks at us.
Well, right now
to giving the attention directly to our guest.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference because
it really did.
I feel like I know that people benefit from learning from other people who are in the industry. I've benefited from the people who have taught me things. We've had some people come in and we've done business with directly, right? Yep. I mean, so there is that option where we are monetizing. We are making some money, from the connections that we've made. Mm-hmm. We've built those professional relationships, where they literally will call us up and say, "Hey, I got a policy I need to write. Help me out."
Yep.
And we love that.
Yep. I have a house that I need to sell or buy.
Or I need that. Yeah, exactly. So all those referral places are great bonus points. And here's something that for those of you who don't know, I mean, I've had a Facebook for a long time. I've had a Twitter actually since 2008.
Yeah, you coined the Great One name.
Yeah, so I have my Twitter handle. I mean, the one we use for the show is @BusinessBrosPod. But I have another Twitter handle, and it's @GreatOne. And it's just Great One, the word Great One. So first of all, if any of you have ever tried to get a Twitter handle or use that @ symbol and you try to get a name that's pretty popular, if you're not in early, you're not going to get it.
Right.
You have to have some sort of deviation or some like underscore in there or period or whatever it is.
Great One with a 0 or something.
Yeah, something weird like that. But for us, or for me anyways, I got into Twitter super early. I don't know why. Somebody told me, he's like, "Hey, this is the next best thing. You should do it." So I got a Twitter, right? But I haven't used it. I still don't really use it. Right? I mean, I used our Business Bros Pod one. So same thing with Facebook. I've had a Facebook for a long time. But it was just the place where I got my invites for family events. And I looked at some stuff every once in a while. Mm-hmm. I didn't even have an Instagram. Right?
Until like this year?
Until this year. When we started the podcast, I decided, okay, well, maybe I should, start the Instagram handle and all that stuff because I saw other people doing it.
Yep.
And then as I get on the show and I learn and I interact with people, I start learning more about what this whole social media thing is, how I should be utilizing it, what kind of engagement should I have while I'm on the show. All of a sudden, it's like, why am I not doing this? Versus, should I? It's why am I not doing this?
Yeah.
Where am I stopping? Why haven't I been doing this for the number of years that I've been doing it? I've been basically pumping the brakes on myself for so long that now I'm like full.
Easy answer to that. I mean, we weren't doing that, and I wasn't doing it because, for the same reason that a lot of people still hold back, which is I'm afraid to be on camera, or I don't know what to say, or no, I don't need to do that because, I can keep my life private. Like, I don't need to be out there. I was afraid to use social media as a marketing tool because I didn't want to be seen.
Yeah, I can understand that.
That's the bottom line. And I think that's what that was my experience. I don't think that it's that much different from a lot of people, especially in our generation. Our generation is that right in between. People that are a few years older than us are really adverse to using social media. People that are younger than us, can't get off of it. And here we are now. It's funny. It's ironic. My wife, she has she's actually taking a social media break. Hasn't been on social media for like a month and some change. And then there's me doing the 33 story days challenge with our pipeline agents, and trying to be on social media and be seen more. I'm finally not afraid of it.
And, it's funny because it comes from practice.
It does.
Being a practitioner, actually going out there and doing it will alleviate that fear or alleviate that discomfort. Because, dude, same thing. So practicing and doing the actual stories, practicing and doing the Facebook, doing the podcast on a daily basis, I actually look for the camera now. Like if there's stuff going on, I'll be like in the background, jumping in and photobombing and whatever. Or the other thing is I'm not afraid to talk to people. I'll randomly go up to somebody at any point and just be like, hey, how's it going? Whatever, and start a conversation. Not that I couldn't do it before, but now I do it intentionally. Yeah. So I remember reading a book a while back called Fanatical Prospecting, and we've talked about this on the podcast in the first 70 episodes. So if you want to check it out, go ahead, check one of those out. But basically it's the same thing. Somebody who's in sales is fanatically prospecting all the time. You're always talking to somebody and you're always moving the conversation at some point so that they understand what it is you do and what value you bring to their life, right? You're fanatically trying to fill that pipeline with potential prospects all the time. Yeah. And that's how you become a great salesperson, is because you always have these relationships, these pending sales, and depending on your sales cycle, depending on your product, there's all kinds of different strategies on how you're going to do that. But it really comes down to how often do you get in front of somebody and tell them what it is that you do, right? And so now it's a whole different ballgame. Now it's like, now I feel like I feel super stretched thin, actually. Now I'm like, okay, well, what can I help you with? Well, I can help you with a ton of stuff. Like, do you need help with life insurance? I can help you with that. Do you need help with home, auto, commercial? I can help you with that. Do you need help selling your home? I can help you with that. Do you need help getting getting qualified? Getting qualified? I can help you with that. Do are you starting a new business? I can help you with that. You need to make video? I can help you with that. So now it's like I have so many things going on. See us first. Yeah, but now I have almost the opposite problem. It's like now I have so many things going on. If somebody asks me what do I do, it's like, well, I have a hard time answering that question. And so, I as a practitioner, I've come along so many different ways. Now I can talk to people. Now I can have a conversation with people. Now when I'm writing things down in my journal, I'm thinking, where am I going to focus my attention on? Should I just I'm thinking the biggest thing for me right now is we're going to build the insurance agency. I think that's going to be the easiest move for me to focus my attention on. That's why we're considering moving the podcast to Coronado, right? So
what?
Yeah, ladies and gents.
After an entire year here in the National City Business Bros studio.
Yeah, we're thinking maybe we should move the podcast studio so that our guests go to our office in Coronado, and get to meet our insurance agency and the staff that works with us there. They get to, we get to do the show right there. I'll spend more time at the office. I can focus my attention more around the products that we have there. Learn a little more about the insurance business itself. Because let's be honest, I've helped to build this company, but I've helped build it as an accountant, as informing my partners in where do I think we should go, where do we think we should put our money, where do I think those sorts of things, as an advisor essentially, right? Yeah. So that's where I am in what I'm thinking of doing. And there's other projects that I'm working on too, but one of the coolest things that I feel that has come from this podcast is I'm also more inclined to say no.
Ooh.
That's a weird one for me, because I'm always saying things like, yeah, let me help you. Yeah, let me help you. Yes, let me help you. But now it's like I'm listening to a proposition, because now that's something else that comes up. Hey, you got this podcast. You have a lot of attention right now. I think you might benefit from doing XYZ. Right. And so I'll sit down, I'll spend, 15, 20 minutes with somebody and they're pitching me whatever's going on in their particular company. And I listen, and I'm in the position where I say something like, and it's usually my answer, something like this. That's great. I am not trying to build a self-employed business right now. So anything that I come across that sounds like something I might be interested in, I would do it if I'm building a business.
Yeah. I remember you talking about that the other day.
And that's one of those things that, it comes down to time.
Of course,
I don't have the time to build something where I'm doing something on a commission basis myself.
Yeah,
I don't have the time to do that anymore. I want to help build a true business. Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at somebody's proposition, I'm looking at what kind of business model do you have in place? What kind of systems do you have in place? And then how can I bring you value to help take you to a new level? And that's really the position that I'm at now. Otherwise, it's more like I can consult you. If you need help with tax returns, I have somebody who can do that for you. Yep. If you need help with accounting, I have a team that can do that for you. And then I'm placing, right? And so that's one of those things where I've written in my journal. It's like now I have a referral network that I'm putting together in my own where I'm going to place people in certain areas and then take on the projects that I want where I can see scale.
Yeah.
Crazy
scaling is the thing.
Scaling is
definitely a thing, and that's you actually were the one that turned me on to Audible, and so I didn't spend my credit last month, so I had 2 this month, and both of the books that I bought, both the audio books that I bought, were on scaling businesses and taking your startup to the next level. Because I'm telling you, man, we're on the brink.
Well, we're on the brink. And that's something we don't really talk about very much on our show. When I started working with Pipeline, I came in and I used rough numbers because honestly, they didn't have real good numbers. I think we were bringing in close to like $150,000, maybe $200,000 a year in commissions, which means we probably had a book of $1.5 to maybe $2 million in annual premium. Mm-hmm. We've taken that and turned it into where we at now, like 11 million?
12.
12 million?
We crossed the 12 million mark.
So we're at $12 million in annual premium now. So we've grown like 10 times. Oh no, what is it? 1.2? Like 10 times. So I mean, not 2, but
1.2. Yeah, from 1.2 to 12, that's 10 times.
Yeah, 10 times. So I'm just like in my head.
I know. It's
do
fine.
Numbers, but anyways,
6 times if it's up to 2.
Exactly. So
you're the math teacher, not
we've 10x'd what we were doing before.
Right? Oh, all right, Grant Cardone.
There you go. So we don't talk about that very much. And the only reason why I don't talk about that very much is because I'm thinking, well, that I came in, I think it was 2009 when I came into Pipeline, and we're in 2019.
10 years.
So for me to go from 1 to 10, I'm like, I didn't do that. We didn't do that very well. Like, I think we should have done that much faster. Mm-hmm. And so, and at the time I'm like, man, if I would have started the podcast back then and learned what I learned then and started implementing some of those things then, like now I know I can see the fast forward button coming really fast. Yeah. In this last year, where do you think we've gone in our premium count?
We've grown since
PTSD. So the last 2 years, 3 years.
PTSD that started in 2015. So it's
2015.
It's been 4 years,
and that was from 0 to
4.5 mil now.
So
I think we might be closer to 6.
So that's in half the time.
Yeah.
And now we're at the point where we're ready to push to the next level. Yep. We're putting the systems in place to super scale. Yep. And so that type of stuff excites me. I don't want to go backwards and start something brand new where I'm doing all the, meeting all the clientele and doing all that stuff. I don't want to build that. No. What excites me now is how fast can I grow something big? Right? How fast can I boom something?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm super thankful to all the podcast guests that we've had on the show who've come on and were super vulnerable to help share their story, right? Yeah. To just be open with their biggest struggles, their biggest habits that they've put into place, what they've taught, what they've learned, and how they're teaching us to help do those things.
Yep.
Because without them, I don't think we would have been in a position where we are today, because we wouldn't have learned the things that we learned today.
It's true.
Right? I mean, I'm the podcast to me in 1 year's time is far beyond where I thought it would be. And I'm just like tickled with excitement on where it's going to be. Like, imagine we're doing this next year. And when we're doing this next year, where are we going to be? Yeah. And the year after that, like, I knew doing this podcast, I knew in my head, like when I decided to go back to the gym, I never look at things in a very short term. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to hit the gym. So in about a year, I'm going to look real good. Right? But I know that I have to go to the gym for 365 days for me to have the habit in place, right? Because I might be going to the gym. Like right now, I'm going to the gym, but I'm not really eating as healthy as I should, right? I'm not as bad, but I'm not eating as healthy as I should. So once that habit is in place, I'm going to want to eat a little better because I'm going to the gym all the time. Right? So, they come hand in hand. I knew that working out is going to take me at least, honestly, it's going to be at least 3 months or so before I see some good results. But when I'm a year in, I'm going to feel really good. And so when we started the podcast, I was like, okay, well, I know in about 2-3 years, we'll be on fire. Right? Like I knew that going into it, but here we go, year 1, and it's already such a great thing for us personally. And I'm hoping that by doing this, it's helped other people, and at the very least, it's motivated somebody else to do something themselves and commit to doing it on a regular basis.
Honestly, I truly believe that it has. I mean, I look around and I see a lot of the things that some of our former guests have been doing, and not that necessarily they were inspired by us, or anything like that. But then again, maybe they were. I just want to give my own big personal shout out to Energy, Brian Landeros, man.
Yeah.
This dude doing big things. When he came in here, just so full of energy. He carries that on into his own show, into all the things that he's doing. The whole 33 days of stories. I literally just stole that from him because I was like, hell yeah, he blew up with it. And not that I'm necessarily trying to blow up like that, but I'm like, yeah, that's a great accountability practice.
Yeah, he opened the door for other people to share what they're doing, to work with their struggles together, and they're all doing it at their own pace. They're doing what they need to do on a regular basis, and it just came from that energy. Energy, right?
Yep.
So he brought that out into people, and it's very positive what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know how much his podcast is benefiting his business life, but I know personally he feels so much better about it.
Yeah.
I recorded an episode with him. It's going to come out here in a few weeks. I went to his podcast and we talked a lot about, that sort of stuff, about how it's shaped him, how he always knew that he wanted to be, help people in some way, somehow. And I think this podcast is the first stepping stone for him. I don't know if he's going to do it consistently for a long time. I don't know if that's his plan or not. I have no idea. But all I do know is that it makes him feel better that he's helping other people. Like I told him that I don't even look at his stories anymore. He's the one I skip through because he's got so much engagement in his stories of people of lives that he's changing.
Yeah.
That he's thanking all of them, and his stories are just too many little hashes at the top. Too many little hyphens. So I literally
so when you just go.
But exactly. So or I swipe because I don't want to see all those. Right?
Wait, you swipe?
Yeah, I swipe.
What?
I told him that, but the reason is not because his stuff is boring. It's because he has so much engagement. It's a lot of taps.
No, I was just thinking. I didn't know you could just swipe.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you swipe and it'll move over to the next one.
Tap it and you have to tap it until it goes through. See, I'm still learning Instagram, people. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's funny, dude. So
you can just swipe, huh?
So right. Just so you know, when you look at Brian's stories and he has all those little dots at the top, that's how many people have engaged back with him that are continuing to do that program that he started himself. By the way, Brian's in phenomenal shape these days. So when he came on the show, he was like he was a flaco, and I mean he's still thin, but he got pretty swole most recently doing all that stuff. So big shout out to Brian. I'm glad you're doing your thing.
For sure, he's definitely yoked. Like he's.
Yeah, right? How? about to be in my 20s again.
I know, right? Let me get back there. I'm still trying to get back in that shape.
But dude, we had Larry MF White the other day,
right?
And Larry's in great shape. Yeah. He's older than me.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not that we can't do it.
Oh no, it's just that we got to be dedicated to it. And for what it's worth, you know, I mean, I've been staying pretty good with my running routine. You know, I'm just a running fool. That's all I am.
Yeah, you like to run.
Yeah, I do. So I don't do like the push-ups and, you know, sit-ups and
you just run 3-4 miles a day.
That's it. I just run.
That's all right.
I just run.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's good.
It keeps me healthy. It keeps me feeling good.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives you that energy you need.
Hails, yeah.
All right, ladies and gents. Hey, I again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much for all of you who subscribe to the podcast, for everybody who listens on the Facebook Live or who watches on the Facebook Live, for all you who've donated to our shoe drive, 365 pairs of shoes by the end of the year, for those of you who've been part of our professional and our personal lives. Thank you guys very much. You know, we look forward to continuing to do this on a regular basis. It's so much fun. And if you guys ever need anything, you guys know you can hit us up, hernan@csfirst.com or james@csfirst.com. For all your insurance needs, we're here for you. Thanks again, guys. And that's all I got for today.
That's it.
That's all we got for you guys
Happy anniversary, business bros.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
And I'm out. Thanks, Facebook.
Facebook?
I don't know.
I'm glad I didn't catch that on the podcast.
I would have cut it out anyways.
All right. Thanks, Facebook. We love you.
Love you guys. Peace. Ribs.